The History Channel and Amazon Prime Video series Vikings will finally continue in the new form this month, with a brand new sequel series continuing the story a century after the adventures of Ragnar Lothbrok, played by Travis Fimmel. Ahead of Vikings Valhalla's release on Netflix, co-creator and showrunner Jeb Stuart has explained more about one of the most brutal periods of European history. Set over 1,000 years ago, Vikings Valhalla will bring the brutal history of the Anglo-Saxons to life like never before. Picking up 100 years after the death of Bjorn Ironside, Alexander Ludwig, the new Vikings series will look a lot different from the original history drama. Not only will a brand new roster of important medieval figures take center stage, but the Vikings themselves will be engaged in their most violent and decisive conflict. Decades after the legendary Ragnar first met Christian missionary Athelstan, George Blagden, the Norsemen have since been split into two religious factions. Chatting to Netflix before the series debuts in just over a week's time, showrunner Jeb teased how Valhalla will kick off the biggest war in Viking history. This religious civil war is between the pagan Vikings, who still worshipped Odin and the old gods, he explained, and Christian Vikings, who had converted in this huge tide of Christianity that was coming up from Western Europe. Although some of Ragnar's allies started to sympathize with his changing religious views, most of the Vikings stayed true to their Norse beliefs. However, the new series will begin after Christianity had already started to spread to all four corners of the globe and had all but managed to conquer Europe. Explorer Leif Erikson, Sam Corlett, begins his epic journey to the New World whilst, back home, the war in Kattegat will eventually culminate with the end of the Viking Age. Jeb admitted, "It's a long and somewhat complex timeline. But when our story is set, Christian Vikings were mostly very sincere, very tough." Latest interview, Insight, they were also very focused on absolute and total conversion to Christianity, or violently wiping paganism off the map entirely. After the original Vikings' sixth and final season concluded with a horrific conflict in Kattegat, many of the Viking forces had spread out and settled elsewhere. While they may be more widespread, the Vikings' grip on the world had started to slip. Explaining more about the show's 11th century setting, Jeb hinted the series will already begin with a major loss for the Vikings who had made their new home in Britain. He explained, the Vikings had been living in the British Isles and had settled into big areas called the Danelaw. The Danelaw had started to grow, and this had become a problem for the Saxon king, King Ethelred II of England. Saxon nobles were afraid that, if you went out another generation, suddenly there wouldn't be any difference between Saxons and Vikings. It's not currently known how many seasons of Valhalla are planned, but with King Ethelred, Bosco Hogan, on the throne, it won't be long before the Vikings' epic tales are brought to an end. Vikings Valhalla Season 1 premieres Friday, February 25 on Netflix.